Hi guys, so I just wanted to say a huge thank you for all of your support. I honestly can't believe how generous you all have been. The response has been amazing. Um, I don't have enough information to give a proper update yet, but I thought I could tell you what I do know, and I just couldn't leave it any longer without saying thank you, because every day that passed I just was so overwhelmed with the support. Honestly, I can't thank you enough. I bought the ramp. The wheelchair guy hasn't got back to me yet, so no news on the wheelchair just yet, but I have the ramp, and it's made me have a few other ideas, but I have to get permission, so I can't really talk about that yet because it's um, not definitely going ahead. One other thing I did want to talk about was that a lot of people said on that video, the housing one, that if I had an OT report, I could get accessible housing because the OT report would say that I need it. That's unfortunately not the case in my area. I've had an OT report this whole time, and even with it, I wasn't allowed accessible housing. And so I've been fighting this with my council and local MP for many months now, and I've been saying this is not fair. Disabled people are not just over 65s, they're not just over 55s. Disabled people can be of any age. And I've just finally got a response from them, and they said after all of the stuff that I have done to fight it, they are now going to make some homes accessible for people of any ages. The thing that is tricky about this is that there's not really any accessible homes in my area. So the good news is that I've hopefully made housing accessible for disabled people who live in the next town and the town after that. They should hopefully get accessible housing now because they've told me they're going to do that. However, when I look on the website, the one that's up there currently is not accessible. So I'm just praying that they stick to their word, because if they do, people in a couple of towns near me should be able to get accessible housing. So that's brilliant, and I feel really proud of myself that I've done that, because nobody else has fought for accessible housing for disabled people in my borough. So it's like a group of several towns and villages. No one else has fought it and been able to make that change, and I've made that change at least. And I know that people in at least 2 towns and a couple of villages should be able to get accessible housing now. But for me, I can't move for a couple of reasons still. One is that it takes about 12 months to reach the top of the list at a minimum. So I would have to stay where I am for at least 12 months, and then I could start thinking about, do I move to a different town? But the difficulty with that is that if I can't walk and I can't drive, I'm really going to be socially isolated there, and also not be able to get to the shop or the doctors or anything. So it would be a huge decision. And even if I was happy with the idea and had made that decision, I still can't move for another 12 months because it takes 12 months to get close to the top of the list. This update is already longer than I planned. I just wanted to do a quick one where I just said thank you, and I discussed that I've made change for some disabled people. I haven't made any progress on my own housing situation. I'm still majorly struggling and I'm still incredibly down about it, but your support has enabled me to at least get a couple nights break, which has been amazing. And I guess I'll just say it actually, I'm trying to get the place I'm in soundproofed, so it's £10,000. So I've got a lot of saving to do, and as it stands I've just been blindly selling basically everything I have to get the money, but I need to get permission from the council to do it, and I need a soundproofing company to say that it's doable. So there's a couple of barriers there. The soundproofing is also only going to be 60% effective, or up to 60%. So at the maximum, it's still only going to get rid of 60% of the noise. I'm not going to be there, hopefully not going to be there long term, because I'm still fighting for accessible housing. And there's so many reasons why it's not ideal for me to go down this soundproofing route, but I don't have any other options, so that's what I'm trying to do. Some people have kindly asked me to set up a GoFundMe, but I just wouldn't feel comfortable doing that, especially not when this soundproofing isn't for definite. I would hate to take money and then that to fall through, and then I've taken people's money for nothing. It's not something I take lightly, and I really mean that. It was only last year I was on the other side of the donation page. I used to really love donating to people's GoFundMes, and so I do know that people genuinely want to help, because when I did it, I didn't think of anyone in a negative light, and I was happy to donate to those causes and those people. But when you're on the receiving end, it's hard. I don't really know how to put it in words, but I liked the Ko-fi idea because it was £3, the price of a coffee, and I thought it had less risk of people putting themselves in a bad position over it. Like, I would hate to do a GoFundMe and then people that are struggling themselves contribute, and so that was part of the reason that held me back from doing a GoFundMe, because that would break my heart if that happened. Like, the last thing I want to do is put other people in bad situations. So yeah, that was a long answer for that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should update here. This bit is boring, but a lot of people asked the avenues that I have tried already to get accessible housing and help with carers and all of that sort of thing. I'm thinking maybe I should put it on the screen everywhere I've tried, because a lot of people were telling me to try like social care, citizens advice, OTs, and I've just tried so many places. Like, I've tried all of those. I've tried the housing association, the council, the local MP, the local councillor. Like, I've really tried so many places. So yeah, this update is not meant to be, it's not the big one that I had planned. The one that I put in the poll, this video isn't it. This is like a much more condensed version, just to say thank you is the main thing. And that I have made progress for some other disabled people. I just haven't made progress for myself, and it's really just unlucky. Like, if I lived in one of those other towns, it would have helped me too. I just don't live in those towns, and I just don't know if I could live in one of those towns. But I guess at least in, say, 12 to 18 months time, that should be an option for me if the council follows through with it. I also don't know if it's just one housing association or if it's all housing associations. I should hopefully find this out soon. But as it stands, I will have got at least one person, and actually probably several disabled people, accessible housing, and that makes me feel really good. It's obviously really hard that I've not helped my own situation, because those suicidal thoughts are still there while I'm still in that situation. Like right now, because I've been able to get out, I instantly feel better. I'm thinking about pet sitting and house sitting for people as a way out as well. Like pet sitting and house sitting for free. So if you live in Kent and you'd like me to house sit or pet sit for you, let me know. So yeah, at the moment, literally, things have changed for other people, but nothing has really changed for myself just yet. Apart from that, I have managed to fix a couple of things that were not the main issue. So like I'm making progress with the wheelchair stuff now. I should hopefully get that wheelchair sometime soon. I bought something to keep myself cool. I'm thinking to do a video about how to keep yourself cool in summer. So I won't tell you what that thing was, but it's a very cool thing. I didn't know it existed. So sorry this is so rambly. I feel like I want to tell you everything, but I want to keep it short as well, because the main thing I wanted to say was thank you, and I want people to watch long enough to hear me say that. And that's thank you for any support as well, whether you donated to my Ko-fi, whether you sent me a message on Instagram, whether you left me a comment. It really has helped. It really has helped. And I can't stress that enough. So I'll leave that there. Thank you so much, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hi, it's me again. Just popping in because I was talking to one of my friends about the changes that I talked about and how people in surrounding towns will now be able to get accessible housing. And I was saying what their experience will be, and it will be the people that are in the system right now will log on to the system in the next couple of weeks and see that there's suddenly accessible housing that they can have, and they will think it's their lucky day. They will have no idea that someone has fought for that for us. I was going to say for them, but I've not done it for them. I've done it for us. I did it for me and for them. And they'll have no idea that someone has fought for that, and they will just think they've got lucky, and they will just think that that property has slipped the net and they've been able to get it, and they'll just think it's their lucky day. And that's what's going to happen to everyone in the upcoming weeks and months when it comes to the accessible housing, because that's what I would be thinking. Even right now, I feel like I'm waiting for a property to just be missed and accidentally become available. And then in a couple of years, when we get new people coming into the system, they're going to log on and they're going to get an accessible home, and they're going to have no idea that that was ever restricted. They'll have no idea that it never once was this way, and that's down to me. It's not like I've made the change in the whole country, and it's not really affected my town. I didn't go into it before, but the reason is that they're now making bungalows accessible. So a bungalow is a one-story home. My town doesn't really have bungalows, and so that's why it doesn't affect me, whereas those other towns, they have bungalows. And if they're saying bungalows are now going to be accessible to all people, those towns are going to have them, and those people are going to get accessible places. But making all bungalows accessible doesn't help me if there's no bungalows to be made accessible, and so that's the specifics of why it doesn't help me. But when I was telling my friend about how it's going to help them and how people are going to wake up in the upcoming weeks and months, log onto the system and be like, oh my goodness, there's suddenly something that I can apply for, that makes me feel really happy. And I'm really gutted about my situation, and I still don't have hope about my situation, but I'm thinking at least I've done something for them. I feel a bit like I can't take all of the credit because I was doing it for them and me, and instead I've only helped them. So I can't be like, oh, I did something great for other people, because I was hoping to do something great for all of us, including me. But obviously I would take anything I can get. I'm so pleased that I've made that improvement for them. I just wish that my town was involved. I was just thinking, if my town was a part of that, then I could be moving in 12 months. The other thing as well is that because the exception hasn't just been made for me, it's been made for everyone, the waiting list is going to be so much longer. So I'm just trying not to think about that, because it had to happen. It's the fairest thing. It is fair if all people were granted that, and it was what I was pushing for. It's what I wanted. I didn't want an exception for me. I did want this for everyone. But the reality is that it does mean that we all will probably be waiting longer, but at least they're on a waiting list now. Whereas before, all of us were on a theoretical one where we couldn't move, whereas the people in those towns can now move, and that's something.